Hello and welcome to Procedurally Generated. I'm Henry Bell, and joining me in studio today are John Carson and Brandon Bowling. This week we're going to be talking about the US release of Yokai Watch, Microsoft freeing up 1 million gamertags, a buggy Dark Souls 3 patch, and more. But first, let's get the ball rolling with another game-as-a-service cancellation by Microsoft Studios. So, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Microsoft is going to kill off Project Spark. This is, for those that don't remember, this is the weird sort of like, it's like a game development, so it's kind of like not like RPG Maker even. It's kind of Little Big Planet sort of, but with more depth to it, sort of. I don't know how to describe it even. It's a game building engine, sort of, but not really. Right. It's more like a mini game building engine.
Yeah, it's an accessible game building.
But you don't you move around like with an avatar and stuff while building? Yep. So it's like it's a game.
Think of it as
within a game.
Think of it as like creator mode for Minecraft.
Or like Gary's mod.
Or Gary's mod, yeah. And you can set your own rules for things. Like,
except it's got a lot.
This is a goal. These are the physics for this.
Right.
These people will walk between this and this.
And you can also like paintbrush deform terrain and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah,
so it's like well, apparently it was. I mean, the idea was quite neat, but the reception from day one has been pretty cool to it. And Microsoft actually came out and announced recently that they were no longer going to be releasing DLC. But now they are saying, as of, when did this article go up? As of the 13th, online services. Oh, sorry. So let me make sure I get these all right. So as of the 12th of, gosh darn it,
it's the 13th.
No. I'm looking at that was when the announcement was made, but I'm actually trying to find the time that they're discontinuing the servers. 8/12/16, whatever month 8 is. Somebody figure it out for me. Thank you. August 12th of this year.
It's a running thing.
I know. I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, August 12th of this year, the online services are going to be unavailable. So they straight up tell you if you want to use user-generated content, you need to download it ahead of time because it will stay on your console once you download it, but it's just going to be gone forever after that.
I'm sure that means their Conquer stuff too. Or that might be gone as well.
I think it will. I think that's the implication at least. But yeah, this is just kind of crazy. Microsoft is going through a pretty big slash and burn thing right now. In case you guys forgot, they also just shut down Lionhead and canceled Fable Legends.
Which is way more depressing than this.
Yeah, well, the Lionhead closures just kills me a little bit. Although, I'm still, like, I'm never sure what Lionhead actually means, like, in terms of, like, I don't know how much of their crew they kept between games and stuff like that, because the developers are who I gave a shit about it.
It was really, like, Molyneux.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I don't really like Molyneux.
Yeah.
I feel like he screws a lot of stuff up.
But his name was synonymous with
that's
Fable,
my point, kind of.
White.
Well, that's kind of my point is that when I think of Lionhead, I think of Molyneux.
Yeah.
And if he's not at Lionhead, then I don't know what Lionhead is.
Right.
So that's kind of what I was getting at, because he is the Lion's Head.
It was weird Fable offshoots. Is what Lionhead became.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like he's done any better. Is Godus even coming out anymore?
They have that new like Goddess Wars. Or whatever.
Crappy spin-off.
He did that one cube thing.
You know, I wanted to like Goddess. I played like a bunch of the demos and stuff, and like it was pretty cool. It had real potential. Like being able to drag the layers of Earth was really fun and satisfying, and you could do a lot of really cool efficiency stuff, which I really like with city planners, management games like that. But it never got developed. I checked in like a year later, and there was like one new feature.
And it looks like going back to Project Spark that it's no longer available for sale.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. I believe that was what happened on the 13th, is they took it off the store. Yep. Sorry, guys. I got a little mixed up.
You failed us.
Well, I got confused and then was trying to get the egg off my face. Yeah, well, and also I knew they had shut it down that day, but I couldn't find the exact thing confirming it. Anyways, but yeah, so Project Spark is over. Make sure you download any user-generated content before August 12th.
You might be able to find clearance copies in retail shops still.
Well, maybe, but there wouldn't be much of a point.
Right. Unless
I see what you're saying. Yes, between now and August, definitely.
To at least see what it is.
Definitely. Next up, we got a real quick announcement. The ESL has announced the formation of the World Esports Association. Basically, they are going to be trying to create more regular structures and more standardized schedules. I think the big thing here is they're going to be trying to bring back some of the validity that esports was getting and is now kind of losing because of all the scandals we've been seeing lately. Between last year's drug fiascos and now this year's like cheating and betting fiascos and all of these, like we're seeing multiplayer bans for hacking and stuff in, what was it, Counter-Strike, I think, or Team Fortress? Team Fortress. That with the LMAO box where like, what was it, 60 pro players or something got banned. And it's just like, oh my God, that is brutal. So I think that esports, the ESL in general, is kind of freaking out a little bit and saying we need to bring back the credibility. Yeah. So we're going to form an organization that is in charge of regulating across all games.
Which is good.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I've seen some pushback on Twitter. I didn't read too deeply into it. I know there was some, but I don't know. Let's see what they do. Let's see what their goals are.
Absolutely, I agree. I think it's a good idea, but until I actually see them produce anything, I'm not gonna be waiting with bated breath. Yeah, exactly. Here's a story that I'm assuming John knows the most about. You guys, Yokai Watch 2 is coming to the U.S.
Good.
And this is the first Yokai Watch game to come across the pond, right?
No.
Do we have the first one?
Yep. Yokai Watch came out in November, I want to say. So this is Yokai Watch 2.
And you're into these games, right?
Yeah. So it's a alternative to Pokemon. So you catch ghosts.
I have a question about that because you've said that a couple times now, and I've seen that in a couple articles. But I also, when I look at like comment sections about Yokai Watch, it seems like a lot of people are saying like you should actually separate it from Pokemon in your head because it's like if you think about it like Pokemon, it's kind of like a worse Pokemon, but it does its own thing. Really,
it does do its own thing. So you have up to 6 yokais, which are ghost monsters that fight for you. You have 3 up at a time on your main screen, and you have a dial that you spin to change out who's actually active.
Oh, so Japanese.
So in the middle of the fight, you can turn that dial and change your party makeup.
But can it only be turned like linearly? Like, can you only like if you have like 3 in play, can you only shift like one new one in type of thing if you make one turn, or can you
3 new ones?
Can you mix up the order they're in?
You can, I believe, outside of battle.
Okay.
So,
but in battle, it's kind of like a life,
set.
Sort of like a life spinner, sort of.
Right. Exactly.
The game of life.
Yeah, it's the game of death.
Yes, exactly.
Ghosts.
Wonderful.
I only played a little bit of Yokai Watch. I liked what I played. You might be able to go and listen back to one of the episodes I talked about it, but you actually like hunt down the yokai, like find them in this normal human world instead of this mythical tall grass that you'd find Pokemon in.
And when you hunt them, when you say you hunt them down, you mean it's not random encounters, it's actually like scripted stuff with each ghost?
Kind of, like they do have scripted events, but they also have like, you have your Yokai Watch, which is a wrist.
Oh, it's a wrist?
It's like
I thought it was watch, like Watchmen, like you're watching.
No,
like you're watching for the yokai.
The Yokai Watch.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Like,
so it's Ben 10.
It's like Ben 10, yeah, only he doesn't
only nothing like it. Yes, it has a watch,
it's not
Henry.
as cool as Ben 10 is what I'm saying. Man.
It sounds like it's a lot of fun, but
Ben 10.
Oh, God.
Did you know that?
No, but I also have never actually seen Ben 10.
Ben 10's all right.
I just know they used to run commercials for it all the time.
It's pretty good.
Anyways, though, with Yokai Watch, like, it sounds like the general perception that I'm getting is that it's a lot of fun, but that it is kind of hard for some international audiences to get as into it as it's like, because it's exploding in Japan. It's like their number one game.
It's everywhere.
It's huge. It's Pokemon all over.
Yeah, and also like they do have a show that's out here that's localized. That's on like
Disney XD. Yeah.
So I was watching. They had a Japanese version as well. I was watching a while back.
Yeah,
it's pretty solid
and
stuff.
it's like kids are into it. So it doesn't surprise me that they're releasing the second game, which I think the one that came out here might not have been the first game.
Oh, really?
Originally, yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me, but quote me.
Yeah, well, you've been recorded, so I hate to tell you
my name
this.
is John Quote Me Carson.
All right, so that's pretty exciting. We'll have to check that out once it hits. Once it hits.
I know.
Here's another bit of interesting news. So you guys know we got Tracer as a playable character in Heroes of the Storm very recently. Well, now we are getting an awesome character that should have been in here sooner. One of my favorites from Warcraft, Chromie, the leader of the Bronze Dragon.
Is it Chromagus?
I think no. No. It's like Chrome Dormu or some crap.
So let me get this straight. She's a gnome or a dragon?
Chrome Dormu.
Yeah, whatever you just said. Chromagus is a boss from like Blackwing Lair or something like that, or maybe from maybe it's
still thinking
it's
WoW.
vanilla boss.
Still proud of myself.
You're right. So if you guys don't know, she's the aspect of the Bronze Dragonflight, I believe. No, she's not. She's an agent of the Bronze Dragonflight, but the main one that shows up in Azeroth all the time. And the Bronze Dragonflights are the dragons who control time, and her abilities are all like rewind type stuff. It's very reminiscent of what's his name, Zildjian, I think, or Zillion from League of Legends.
Oh, okay.
Who has the time bombs and all that. It looks like she has like a rewind type ability that like moves players back, and it's probably a heal, I'm guessing, that like restores health to what it was 5 seconds ago or whatever, that kind of stuff. So
almost like kind of like Tracer, but like
with
different.
Yes and no. I mean, they're both time related.
Yes,
but it sounds like they're very different, because Tracer does not play like a traditional
same concepts with like
character.
life and mana, and probably
that I couldn't tell you.
Tracer is more where she physically is.
Right. I honestly don't know how they are doing resources for either of the characters, because honestly, I don't really play Heroes of the Storm.
So Chromie's out now?
No, she is. Yes, she is. Sorry,
Okay.
She's now available. And she has an awesome trailer too. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend checking it out. It's pretty funny. I love all of those trailers. Anyways, though, so yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Here's something that's maybe exciting if you're part of one of the bigger gaming audiences, but not for me. We are getting some HD remakes of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and they are coming exclusively to PS4 and Xbox One. And this is pretty cool. They said they're going to actually redo some of the assets and stuff.
Well, everything's been moved over to Unreal 4.
Right.
So, which is, I think, the most interesting thing about this.
Yeah, it's
HD remaster.
I'd say it's the most frustrating thing too, because for some reason it's not coming to PC. I get that everyone is nodding.
Well, Henry.
No, listen. Arkham Asylum plays beautifully on my computer, and it has since launched.
No, I know, but there's a little thing that happened.
Yeah,
last
I
year.
know, but that doesn't. It's foolish.
They're
this would have been
probably
their
not
chance.
confident.
But this would have been their chance to redeem themselves
I know.
on the Arkham franchise in particular. And
know.
here's the thing: imagine Unreal 4 on PC at maxed out graphics of this.
Real
It would
good.
be incredible, and
know.
I'm super bummed
I'm
because
disappointed, too.
this I would have bought it. I would have bought it, and now they will not see my money. But I guess it's nice for PS4 and Xbox One players.
It's out really soon too.
Yeah,
It's
and
like July.
These are fantastic games, you guys. Seriously, these are the best two in the series by far.
Where's Origins?
Not by them. Isn't Origins Rocksteady? Or I'm sorry. Is that right?
No, Rocksteady did
the main ones.
The main trilogy.
Sorry. This was by a third party. You can somebody go ahead and look that up for me really quick. But yeah, so I don't know. I really enjoyed Arkham Asylum. If you haven't played it, you really should pick this up because it's probably the best of the Batman games, and Arkham City is certainly the best of the open world Batman games. So check them out.
Origins was made by Warner Brothers Games Montreal and Splash Damage.
Splash Damage. Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, so yeah, check it out if you are one of the people who can get it.
Yeah.
This is kind of a weird announcement. So Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is coming. It has been announced.
I'm giving the thumbs up right now.
Yes, awesome for podcasting.
Everybody look at my thumb.
We also have a little more news on it though, this is very interesting. So in the West, it's coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Mm-hmm.
Japan, it seems like from their trailer, it's a PS4 exclusive. Not that surprising, I guess, but definitely made me do a double take.
The lack of PC is the surprising part for me.
yeah.
The Xbox One thing, man,
Not
Xbox
surprising
has
at all.
not sold well in Japan for a while.
Yeah, and PlayStation seems to have a bit of a monopoly on like anime-styled games in
Right,
general,
right.
like even just the Vita.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like people didn't buy the Xbox 360. People aren't buying the Xbox One in Japan, so why dedicate the resources to a Japanese version of that?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they've never done well. I've gone to game stores while I was in Japan.
Well, and I don't know if it's even that the others don't do well. It's that Sony does so well.
Yeah. Oh no, it's Microsoft definitely does not do well.
Well, really? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, has there ever been like a major, like basically since PlayStation 2, has Nintendo even really competed in sales in Japan with
Japan,
with
yeah.
Sony?
yeah.
With Sony?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Shows what I know,
Well,
I guess.
They do very well. Like Xbox, think of how like the Vita has done, and you know how Vita's like a huge disappointment like everywhere. That's how the Xbox One is in Japan.
Yeah. Whereas the
I
Vita
wonder
is
why
kind
that
of a
is,
hit
because the
industry.
Xbox One actually has a decent library. I mean,
So-
not a good one, but
Maybe it's nationalistic. Maybe
that's what I was going to
it's-
ask. Is part of it that Sony's like a home brand,
That-
maybe?
yeah.
That might,
But so is
that might
Nintendo.
play a role because like I didn't see any.
It could
Xbox
be
paraphernalia
price.
at
It could
all
be
when I was there.
just development of Japanese games in general. Like there weren't many for the 360 and Xbox One.
That's odd. I guess when you
Yeah,
think
that is
about it, though,
another
it's
thing,
actually
too.
not that odd. I mean, Japan is a pretty small country, and like
There's-
the Western consoles, like I mean, I guess you could only have so many developers developing for so many consoles
Yeah.
all at
Well,
once.
another thing too is like their game library is vastly different than what we have.
Yeah, they have so many games that don't even
Yeah.
see the light of day here, unless they're some sort of dating simulator that comes out on Steam.
Well, I've seen a couple of them, but like the games that I've seen that are like I'll use the term loosely, but locked to Japan, so to speak, region locked to Japan. Like I had to go to like in the middle of Chinatown in New York City, down a couple of floors under the street
yeah,
to like underground
To
game
find stuff.
retailers to find stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like it's like going to a game store, but none of the games are anything that you've ever seen before. And they
Nice.
have like insane. They're like my favorite one that I was like super stoked to buy
Yeah.
was Metal Wolf
yeah.
way back.
Metal Wolf,
which is like the
Chaos?
most it was
Yeah.
like the most American game ever.
Yeah, that's true.
But that
Nice.
you will never find that here.
That is hilarious. Well, speaking of Japanese game developers, Nintendo has finally given us a little bit more information about what it is doing with the data it collects through the Mitomo.
There you go.
This is
App.
interesting because
Give me a break. It's so
Loosen the lips.
well, you know that there's like it's so similar to Miyamoto. I
Oh,
always like trying.
yeah. Also, if you don't say it
Mitomo,
like,
Miyamoto.
constantly like I do, then
Mhm. Well, I don't even play it. I tried installing it, by the way, like
Or
2
you
weeks
could
ago.
study
So
Japanese.
Mitomo is that weird Nintendo app, their first app that they like pushed. That is a weird social
Social
experiment.
network?
I guess
Yeah.
it's not even really a network.
it's like a social version of.
Can you find people
Tomodachi
through it, or
Life.
do they have to give you a code? Like it's not networking.
No, you
if
you can find people through it now. I
Mhm.
believe.
Okay, because I was gonna
but
say it's not really networking if you have to like look people up.
It was like codes or Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah.
before, so.
That's funny. Anyways, so they have finally told us what they are doing with that data because basically the whole game is you answering and guessing the answer to questions about yourself or
Yes.
your friends.
Yep.
And so this is their quote. The answer information our consumers provide through the Mitomo app is only used to provide a better experience for Nintendo consumers and to support the application. Neither Nintendo nor any of its partners sells or shares that answer information for any other purposes.
Okay.
Um,
It could be like
I still don't trust this at all. But-
I feel like so a lot of that game is dressing up your me and like getting new clothes for them and having like special events for that kind of stuff. Like I believe there's a Splatoon thing going on right now where you can get Splatoon clothes.
Sure.
But it's like, hey, my favorite food is pizza. If like 2 million people say that their favorite food is pizza, there might be pizza clothes. There's already pizza clothes.
Well, that's
But-
fine, but what worries me
but also,
more
like-
is that they
like-
don't just ask you what your favorite
Like,
food
oh,
is.
what's
you know?
what's your favorite movie? Oh, it's Star Wars. Hey, let's get into contact with
Right.
Disney and let them know this many people answered
Right,
this.
exactly,
So we
'cause-
want to form a partnership for advertising.
The way that the quote was worded just seems too lawyered
Yeah.
to not be excluding something deliberately. Like it feels like they talked their way around whatever type of data sharing
There's
is going on.
there's
There's no way
actually-
that they're not doing
There's
something
actually
with that
fine
data.
print between every letter in this.
Right, exactly. I thought it was just italics. Now I can see.
Well, you need a binary computer and an electron microscope before you can fully translate what they're really trying
Right.
to say.
I don't want to
Right.
alarm you, but
don't have that money,
I
though.
definitely think all
Well, I
computers are
actually
binary
did-
computers.
No, I actually did find a binary computer for $101,000 the other day.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Let's go Dutch on it.
It's kind of funny because like the shipping was free.
But it better be free.
I think it's
Giving you $101,000.
I get it.
No, quantum computer. I'm
Oh.
sorry, not binary computer.
Oh, there you go. That's why earlier I was,
Yeah.
And then I thought you were making a joke about it being $1,001 because
Oh.
it's all ones and zeros.
Oh, quantum computer,
I gave
guys,
you way
I
too much
apologize.
credit here. Here I am making up on his mistake,
Wouldn't
trying
that
to
just-
make it make
wouldn't that
sense.
Just be like $9.
Well, I mean, not necessarily.
Yes.
But
It was all computers are binary, guys. Seriously.
all right. So next up, we are getting into some real news. First up,
The
we
realest.
have more real than an announcement. Next up, we've got the Xbox gamertag grab. So
Dum, dum, dum.
this is actually going on right now. So you may already have missed it, to be honest, but if not, I would get on to the main site right now. So Microsoft is releasing around 1 million Xbox Live gamertags. They're not going to tell you what they are, but you can use trial and error and try and get maybe a less ridiculously gibberished up gamer tag with 15 extra characters on it, just so that you could get the center of it to be the name you wanted. Definitely recommend checking it out. This is basically people who haven't touched their gamer tag since Xbox Original.
It's the original Xbox Live. So they said like it could be popular machines, it could be like famous people's names, like all that kind of stuff is up for grabs.
Which is so hilarious. I honestly, if I played on Xbox, I'd be all over this, because that's one of my big things is no matter what I'm using, I refuse to use I will not be Soccer 668.
I will be Tom Cruise though.
Sure, but you get what I'm saying.
Hate my username,
I don't. I made fun of you for it. But anyways,
it was like my AOL address when I was a kid.
Yeah, I've got some really bad ones. So
yeah, it's not as bad as my PlayStation one though. Oof. I wish they did that with PlayStation.
See, I like to have unique ones, so I always do stuff that's just plain characters and maybe a couple numbers that are part of it.
Mine just looks like a dick.
Well,
nice.
The thing about
It's just a bunch of
an
equal
8
signs
and a bunch of equals. Don't forget that 8.
And then like some squiggly lines at the end.
The irony for me was
Gross.
I just made mine just so I could remember it, so I could log in.
Oh yeah,
like that was literally the reason why I made mine. So it's so generic, but it's so useful because I don't.
Did they
forget
make
it.
you log in more back in the day? I didn't have Xbox Live on the original Xbox.
I didn't play Xbox.
Okay.
I had Xbox
I was a
Live
PS2
on
guy.
the original, and I don't remember them making me log in that much.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I did that, because
Gotcha.
I would just straight up forget it. Like
I would always just forget the email address it was associated
I would
with.
forget the email address. I would forget the password. At least I had the username down, so when I had to go recover all that, I had something to work with.
I did not have these problems, but I believe that they were annoying.
Go get Blunt Smoker 420. Let's go.
All right. So next up, we've got a really kind of a weird but interesting story. A Washington Post review of Uncharted 4 is getting massive backlash right
this
now.
Is interesting, actually. I tried to read the review on Washington Post, but they insisted that I subscribe, and I was like, no.
Was someone reviewing the review? Is that what this controversy is about?
So the controversy is there's this kind of shock jockey reviewer who works for the Washington Post who all of his reviews tend to be very counter whatever the current narrative is. Whatever people are thinking, he does the opposite because he's an edgy guy, edgelord. So this guy is going to go ahead.
Why did his parents name him that?
I don't know. It's just like he's destined to do this. Anyways,
like that might have led to some childhood trauma, and that's why he's like this.
So he released his Uncharted 4 review. He blasted the game in the vaguest possible of terms. It's to be honest, if you read through his review, so his name is Michael Thompson, and his review is Uncharted 4, A Thief's End Review. This 4-part series should have ended after part 1.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Not at all.
He then goes on to basically very kind of wax lyrical, but very vaguely about what he doesn't enjoy about it. It seems to be conceptual problems he has with it for the most part.
Yeah.
And doesn't really. He says it's not a good looking game at one point, which is insane because this is one of the highest fidelity games ever created.
We'll talk about this later.
I mean,
about
this
how
guy
good
is
it
basically
looks.
objectively wrong here, but people have they have the right to their opinion, so that's fine. People do not have an issue with this guy who does these counter reviews.
Right, he's been doing it for a long, long time.
Here's the problem: Washington Post is on Metacritic. And while he does not use numbers for his review scores,
right, it's more like an essay.
Right, which is great. That's the way to do it. Well, they still submitted a score to Metacritic, and the score seems to have been pulled out of someone's ass because they gave it a 4 out of 10.
I mean, it sounded like he didn't like it.
Yeah, sure, but he does not justify a 4 out of 10.
Let's give it a 4.5.
It very much feels like some editor was like, Uncharted 4, we'll give it a 4. Like, it feels weird.
It's the 4th one.
Yeah, and for the record, they actually reached out Metacritic actually responded to questioning and said, we don't make we don't pick the number. We ask them to give it a number, and that is the number they chose. So now there's a huge controversy going on because Metacritic scores are a very big deal, unfortunately. That's the reality of the world we live in. And the thing is, developers can be cheated out of bonuses, out of future employment, out of being able to do sequels, all based on what their Metacritic average is. And this is the only, I think, critic review, at least at the time that I pulled these articles together, that was below 80, which is crazy. I mean, this is a universally praised best Uncharted game yet. Yeah. And it's just nonsense. This whole thing, honestly, I don't blame the Washington. Well, I kind of blame the Washington Post a little bit, but they're just a symptom of a greater problem, which is Metacritic. Metacritic shouldn't be allowed to be or at least it shouldn't be as tied into the industry as it is. It's disgusting that it has so much control over game sales, and yet they don't produce anything. They don't even have their own review. How is it they don't even have their own review staff? Seriously, you guys?
I don't know.
That's insane.
They review the review scores. And
I just look at them to see if a movie's worth watching.
That's not a review. And that's the worst part is that, clearly they don't really review it because the way it works, too, is based on how often you submit to them, how high profile you are, and a variety of other things. Basically, what your reach is, your review is more heavily weighted against other reviews. Yeah. So, Washington Post, I'm guessing they probably are fairly well weighted.
It's a pretty big outlet.
Yeah, it's a well-known publication, that's for sure.
Not necessarily for games, but
no,
a pretty big outlet.
I'm sure they're not outweighing IGN, but they might be outweighing,
Variety.
Or one of the Australia branches of one of these big gaming corporations or whatever, because there's a lot of there's IGN UK, IGN Australia, all that kind of stuff. Maybe one of those. And I don't know, overall, I just find the whole situation kind of ridiculous. There's a petition that's been signed to remove the Washington Post review score from Uncharted 4's Metascore. At the time of recording right now, it has over 8,500 supporters.
Wow.
And their goal is 10,000, so they're less than 1,500 off here.
It would be a completely different thing if the reviewer gave it that score to Metacritic, but if it was that company without the discretion of the reviewer.
Well, even if they did have the discretion of the reviewer, I do think that a reviewer has a responsibility to justify the score they give and do it properly.
There's sites like Polygon that the reviewer will write the review, and they have a committee of people who read the review and give it a score based on what's in said review. But it is part of.
Are they scoring the review or the game? That doesn't seem. That seems like the backwards way to do it.
But then they also go to the reviewer and see if that's okay. It's part of their review process.
To me, I feel like what it should be is you should play through a game and you should be able to put a number value on your experience, and then you do your best in the review to explain why you feel that way. It shouldn't be what am I giving this review as a score? Because that doesn't to me that doesn't seem very genuine. That is
it's like what does this read like?
But are you exactly though? Well, that's the question though. What it reads like are not necessarily your true feelings. That's kind of what it comes down to. Maybe you didn't eat before you wrote the review and you were just kind of in a bad mood, and then because it's a panel that is checking the review and giving it a score for you, you might not be able. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm sure that this works well for Polygon, and I'm just more pointing out I think that there should be no editorial involvement in review numbers or any of I think that the editorial side of things is what caused the problems with this review. Sure. And I think that reviewers, if they're going to be put onto Metacritic stuff, it should be submitted by the author.
I agree.
That's what it comes down to.
That's basically, I was just trying to point out the difference between something that is structured by an outlet for their review score, as opposed to this wasn't given a score, but the outlet as a whole gave it one without the consent of
presumably. I'm not sure that that's been confirmed, but yes. And I absolutely agree with you. I think part of that, too, is that Polygon, they're gaming-centric, whereas, Washington Post is obviously news first and foremost, and the gaming is just like a section, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, just kind of interesting. I really don't have an opinion on it either way because I don't have a console, but it just seems shitty, and Metacritic is the worst. Don't use Metacritic, you guys. If you're going to, just Google it and don't click the site. Don't give them that ad traffic. Next up, we've got a very troubling and interesting story. So, Hearthstone just recently had its big tournament at DreamHack Austin, and Terrence M. Miller, Terrence, gamertag Terrence M. Miller, came in second place, and it was a big deal. And he's not a well-known player, so it was, more exciting than normal. And unfortunately, while they were streaming it, they had the Twitch chat showing, and the Twitch chat was not good. So I guess I should mention that Miller is black, and you can guess what Twitch chat looked like. So there were multiple different articles written about how disgusting the response was by the fans and how horrible Twitch chat is, and the whole situation basically was totally predictable and totally disappointing. And Blizzard has now come out and kind of forcibly, they basically, with the clout that Blizzard have decided for Twitch that they are going to be updating the Twitch chat. Yep. The exact quote was, "We're extremely disappointed by the hateful, offensive language used by some of the online viewers during the DreamHack Austin event the weekend before last. One of our company values is play nice, play fair. We feel there's no place for racism, sexism, harassment, or any other discriminatory behavior in or outside of the gaming community. This is obviously a larger societal problem that affects us on many levels. We can only hope that when instances like this come to light, it encourages people to be more thoughtful and positive and to fully reject mean-spirited commentary, whether within themselves or from their fellow gamers. To help combat this type of behavior during live events, we've reached out to players, streamers, and moderators, along with partners like Twitch, DreamHack, and others to get consensus and collaborate on what to do differently moving forward. To that end, we're investigating a pilot program that Twitch has in the works to streamline moderation and combat ban evasion. We're also updating our esports tournament partner policies with a stronger system of checks, balances, and repercussions to provide a better chat experience all around our content." And it goes on, but you get the idea. So basically, Twitch is going to be rolling out a new tool that is going to be hopefully more of a permanent ban hammer. They're going to be introducing some more filters. Here's what I don't get. Wouldn't it be pretty easy to just censor a lot of those words?
Just have a running check for these words.
Yeah, everything with a profanity filter ever has had.
They do have that.
Yeah, but I know that people find ways to get around it, but I also know that you could just build a library of banned words. But it doesn't stop
people. If I'm going to turn off that profanity filter, I don't care if people say the F-bomb or shit or anything like that in my chat.
Maybe you could have a 2-tiered filter.
Right, exactly.
One for slurs and one for curse words.
But also auto silence those people.
Auto ban those people.
That's what they're looking to do.
Right,
correct?
Sorry, you said auto silence, and I was saying auto ban is really where I think it should be. Is it right now? Does it auto silence? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying that it should.
Yeah, I agree.
There's something if people are discussing something and just blatantly calling people by slurs.
I mean, yes and no, though. I mean, really, there's no need to use slurs in a discussion.
There are very few Twitch chats that I expect people to be discussing a slur.
Yeah. And even if they were, first of all, it would be off topic, I'm sure. And second of all, you can discuss the problem with a slur or discuss a slur without using said slur.
Sure.
Can you define a word without using it in the definition? Yes. So, it's definitely possible. Brandon, what's your take on this whole thing?
Looking at it, I feel like as esports become more popular, issues like this will happen more often as you have a larger viewing audience. So, it's nice that Blizzard came in and said, okay, yeah, this isn't going to happen again. We're going to get our stuff together. Or Twitch is going to get its stuff together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's always a good start. And, they need to be prepared as this, industry starts to really boom and grow. They need to have contingencies and safeties in place to ensure that these things don't happen. Because this, as Blizzard said, this happens in all tiers of society. It's even typical standard sports like football, baseball, that kind of stuff has the same issues.
Yes, that is true, although I think that it's made much worse and much more common by anonymizing it. Here's the thing. You can say whatever you want at a sporting event, but that doesn't mean you're not going to get your ass beat.
Right.
Like online, you are invisible and invincible, which is the worst because it brings out the worst in people.
Well, that makes it all the more important that they nip this in the bud early,
right?
Because
yes,
as they grow, if this does not, and it's always going to be a battle,
right?
But if they don't have the tools and systems in place to help mitigate the issue, I'm not saying that they need to just straight up get rid of it completely because that's just impossible. That's
sure.
But if they don't have systems in place to mitigate this issue early on, and already have that system, already had the departments in place, this could really blow up and get out of control. Like this just blew up in their face, and this is just the beginning. But it's going to get worse.
I think it's really important they jump on this too because there's an issue of lack of representation in esports. It's almost all Asian and white European players. And it's really a shame that when you see, like, especially Hearthstone, which is a very traditionally white professionally played game, it was nice to see a really, really good black pro player. And I really hope that this doesn't ruin Hearthstone for him, because especially as a relative unknown, he could have had a big future ahead of him playing the game. Fortunately, he seems pretty level-headed, and beyond, he actually said he kind of expected it, just not as bad as it came. I know that's not absolutely, that doesn't excuse it, but at least he didn't get completely blindsided by it.
Which is a shame because you're walking into the event like,
What's really a shame is if he shows the VOD to his parents, he said it's going to have the Twitch chat, which is just crushing. Like, I can't even imagine that situation.
Things like this are kind of why we made. I guess I'm going to plug this a little bit. This is why we made Stream Friends. One of the main reasons originally is that we wanted an inclusive stream channel for diverse minds, diverse personalities, and a safe chat for people to be in.
Sure.
So if any of that kind of shit were to go down, they would be banned immediately by our moderators.
That's the other thing too, is it kind of feels like in this pro match, like, shouldn't there be like 30 moderators monitoring the final match?
Yeah, but also there's how many people watching?
I mean, like, here's the thing though,
there could be 12,000 people and like 3,000 of them are just yelling slurs, and you can't hit all of them.
Well,
because if it's all just like,
here's the thing, there's already a delay.
It's tough.
Here's the thing, there's already a stream delay, and on top of that, you have tools that can at very least identify, here's a cluster of words that could be used, or a cluster of letters in a row that could be used, and we're just going to highlight them for you, and that way you can just scan those letters.
But moderators themselves are basically just working with the Twitch chat that's in front of them.
Well, yeah.
I know. Well, and that's part of the problem. Although I have to imagine there's third-party tools that can assist with that.
Yeah, that's really what the core issue comes down to. It's like mitigation. I'm not going to ask for it to be completely gone. I mean, that would be the best
Let's
option.
put it this way. Nobody's saying that we need to completely eliminate racism in every single form, but we're saying that you can't be publicly racist. Like, does that make sense? Like, you're never going to wipe it. You're never going to wipe it out, but you can at least push it into the shadows, for God's sake. Yeah. I mean, it's just disgusting. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just glad that so many companies came out to support him.
Have I told you how much I hate white people?
If you're wondering what that tap was, that was Henry slamming his face into a wall out of frustration.
We were doing so well, you guys. We were doing so well.
I know.
All right, moving along.
Move on.
Next up, we have a very interesting story. So, you guys know the game Ark Survival Evolved?
Oh,
that's the biblical game where you build a giant boat for the flood, right?
Man, you're just digging today, aren't you?
You were just like,
you just are loving this.
You were just evolving that survival game by getting 2 of every animal onto that boat.
And then, and then you're Noah, except without clothes.
I'm about 20 seconds from cutting you.
And a diamond in your arm.
Get a sick
beard.
In
your hand, in your wrist. You got a diamond in your wrist.
Please don't make me cut your mics, you guys.
Is this the game adaptation of Evan Almighty?
Okay. So, this is the sci-fi / prehistory survival game that I played a little while ago and I talked about on the show, and it's the one with the dinosaurs. So, basically, the Ark devs have come out and said that if you make a mod or custom map good enough, we will buy it from you, and we may hire you, too.
Oh, yeah, let me just stop you right there. That is so cool.
Sick.
Oh,
yes.
Talk about incentive. Like, just the first part is like, if you make something awesome, we'll buy it off you. That is just so cool.
And it's not unheard of, but it is unheard of for someone to come out and offer like this. Because the thing is, let's keep in mind, like Ice Frog, who made Dota, definitely works for Valve now.
Yes, yes he does.
And like, there are a lot of mod projects, especially the bigger, higher profile ones, that the modders were brought onto teams for the game that they were modding. However, this is the first time that they've basically offered a cash incentive to create. Someone has offered like a cash incentive to create quality content.
And I'm sure they're a small enough team where they kind of see it as a good recruiting tool. If they're offering to potentially hire people, like they could get a bigger team going with people who they know their game.
Oh, and I should mention that this isn't like they're saying they'll throw you, like $1,000 or something.
Sure.
They are saying that they will give you money equal to what would be basically the pay of a game designer who worked for the amount of time that it would take to reasonably develop
like
what
actual,
you did.
Like contracting.
So he said for I think they said for the custom map that they have now integrated into the main game, I think they said that it was like 2.5 months or something of work that he got paid for in one check type
really
thing.
Good.
Yeah, and he got hired onto their staff. So
even better.
Yeah,
overall,
so it's like he got a bonus and
I'm sure it was literally a dream come true, and I'm very happy for him. I think this is great. I'd love to see more of this. Hey, Bethesda, maybe if you didn't try and make everyone charge for mods, you could just buy out the best modders and then have them make their mods as DLC going forward, and then people wouldn't be so pissed about it.
Who wants to move to Maryland?
Who was that one person who makes the house mods? I'm surprised they haven't grabbed that person yet.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, all of the mods that are in Fallout 4 in particular are really just decompiled stuff that's already in the game. Yeah. Like the house mods that players made are just existing assets from the game that they allowed you to make. But some of the stuff like the elevators, that modder should probably, that kind of stuff.
What about the ones that make your dragons into Macho Man?
Of course.
Give them money.
Now, I was more into the Thomas the Tank Engine. But since we're talking about Fallout 4, this is a perfect moment. Sorry to cut you off, Brandon, but we have some Fallout 4 news. So you guys know that new DLC, Far Harbor, that's coming out this month?
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. Going to be set in, Maryland or something? I don't know.
On an island.
It's on an island. And
someplace that's not close.
It's going to be cool. It's going to have it's going to be the first meaty DLC.
Yeah, it's in Utah.
I hate you guys. So, anyways, it's super. It's pretty exciting. It's probably the biggest. It's the most substantial DLC they've released so far.
Yeah, this was their big crowning achievement of their season pass, right?
No, but this is the large. This is the first large DLC that they've released. And just like with all the other Fallout patches and stuff, they're offering beta versions that people can play. However, when you play the beta version, you're under NDA. You can't share it online. You can't make videos of it, even though everyone and their sister is, which sucks. It really sucks because they're not going to keep doing this beta thing. Yeah. Speaking of things that suck that people are doing with that info, a player straight up uploaded the entire Far Harbor DLC as a mod to the Steam workshop.
There's got to be checks for that.
No, there are not.
They did not capitalize it, and they put a U in the name. It's different.
So
that was almost convincing.
And you're not wrong, though, that you'd think it would be auto-flagged, but it's not for some reason because Valve is garbage. And so Bethesda had to actually report it to Valve, and then Valve took it down for the weirdest reason. They listed it like it was just someone borrowing assets from another mod, basically, without permission.
Oh, sure.
When, they should have used much stronger worded language. It's so
straight
funny.
Theft, yo.
Well, I mean, they're like, what was the exact quote here? They said, the mod was taken down because Bethesda asked us to, as it contained copyrighted material that was uploaded without permission from the original creator. In this case, Bethesda.
Oh.
How about they wholesale stole our new DLC
and put it up for free, correct?
Yeah, and just so you guys know, over 800 people downloaded it.
Yeah,
and this is a $25 DLC. And someone in Interrogator Chaplin from the comment section of the of the Kotaku article I'm reading did some math for us. That's $20,000 in lost sales.
Have fun with your European DLC. If there's a U in Harbor.
Oh.
Far Harbor.
Oh, you're still going on about that. Okay.
I am.
Yes, gotcha. Anyways, we're talking about $20,000 in lost profits here.
Oh.
So it's a pretty big deal. Yeah. It sucks. That guy is a shitty dude, and people should bag on him.
Yeah, that's just dirty.
Get bagged.
It's the worst. I hope that his entire Steam account got deleted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would suck.
Next up, we have I can't believe this, some good news out of an EA stockholder meeting. So,
Are they making money?
well,
I'm
funny
kinda-
you should
yeah.
ask that.
How are my stocks doing?
Yeah, that statement gave me pause, Henry. Do you have like stock?
Well, remember, this is the only time we actually get straight answers from EA
That's
because
true.
it's the
It's
only people they're beholden to.
Yeah.
Because they're assholes to everyone else.
yeah, it's like surprise.
Yeah. So, analyst Michael Pachter,
Yep.
or Pachter?
Pachter.
He had a great question, which was namely, what's up with the single player? Is there going to be single player in the next one? And, oh dear. Patrick Sutherland came out and responded, basically saying, "You guys, you don't understand. We had to meet a deadline for The Force Awakens, so we couldn't make single player," which is like hilarious to me.
Well,
Can I just say that's the lamest ass excuse I've
We don't
ever
know what their
heard.
development timeline was for this game.
Nah.
I mean, this is a Disney partnership.
Sure.
I'm sure they had plenty of warning, and also on top of that, they
No.
are. This is an EA studio.
Yeah.
And on top of that, which means they have the resources to reallocate. And on top of that, if they took all of that talent off the single player, shouldn't the multiplayer be like
Good.
better than
all right.
average? Better than average?
For a dice game these days.
It's worse than it is worse than Battlefield 4, which is a year-and-a-half old game. Battlefield 4 is a much better, more complete
You're not playing
game.
Star Wars Battlefront unless you just really. Well, I won't say that, but Star Wars Battlefront really appeals to people who really love the Star Wars.
I mean, no,
universe.
I think that you are pretty justified in saying
it's one of
really
those
it's for
games
people
that's-
who want
It's
Star Wars.
It's a very casual shooter.
Yeah,
well,
it's like-
sure. Although I don't know very many friends of mine who are like into casual shooters who are still playing it now.
yeah.
Even
Well, the point I'm trying to make is that if you're in this, if you love the lore,
Yeah.
and you love looking at Star Wars.
well, I don't know about the lore, but sure.
well, you know, like
'Cause
yeah,
it's
I get to
the-
play as
it's
Han
not-
Solo.
You don't though. Do you-
can.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah, okay, the hero mode.
hero
Sure.
mode.
Yeah,
I
for
can
sorry,
slap people
for
around,
30
yeah.
seconds at a time or whatever, you can play as a hero character with
well, yeah.
hilariously bad animations.
Well, yeah, but you know, like, hey, what else do I got right now that's in HD?
That's fair. That is very
But
fair.
but if you're not into that specific set thing, and I like Star Wars, but I'm not dishing out money for that.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah.
So basically, the good news is he came out and said that won't be a problem for the next one. And he basically promised that there will be a single-player campaign in the sequel, or said that
be a
they're
single-player
planning on there
campaign.
being one. However, I still stand by that's a super weak reason for them not having had one.
No,
as
that
is.
was clearly the lamest ass excuse. Like I said, lame.
When I first saw this article, my thought was, "Oh, they couldn't do story spoilers from The Force Awakens," which
Yeah,
even
that's actually what I thought.
that would have been to me a more credible excuse. I just don't buy
I would've
EA and
still
DICE
been-
not
I
having
would have
resources.
still been salty, but I would have been like, all right, I can see it.
Yeah, I just don't buy them not having the resources to do something like that, especially because they're making more money. Like Disney paid them to make the game before it sold, right? Like,
Yeah.
presumably.
Well, that's the thing that got me. It's like at first you'd be like, oh, if they use that excuse, I'd have been like, all right, I'm still salty. But then you have Ratchet and Clank, which came out like right next to the movie, and
I mean, that's a game that
Yeah.
they've made.
What does
in the
that have to do with
past
the
and had
Cost
Yeah.
of price eggs on a Friday at Jewel.
huh?
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, that's coinciding with a movie.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sure, but they also fully own like the property, don't
Yeah,
they?
and
Yeah,
Insomniac
I guess
only
that's
had
fair.
like one game come out in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was like years and years in planning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they announced that movie like 3 years ago.
I was gonna say
but
it's at least
was-
3 years.
I was also looking up when EA and Disney made the announcement for their exclusivity, and it was 2013. It was May
Yeah.
2013.
which is a good amount of time.
It is a good amount of time, and they did announce Battlefield, I believe, at E3 that year.
Yeah. Well, my bigger concern would be, did Hardline eat into the development
Hardline might
schedule?
have.
Even
Mirror's
some-
Edge might have.
Even some before might have, because
fixing Battlefield 4.
that's what I'm
might have, 'cause
saying.
That took like a year.
So, I mean, I think all of those are more credible reasons that
Right.
they had to, push developing power to other projects. This just to me seems like a total like kick the can down the road answer. But at least he said that there's going to be a single player campaign, hopefully in the next one.
They have the base of their Battlefield game or Battlefront game now, so
it better be a single player.
Well, you say that. Just to be clear, though, it sounds like he's talking about a sequel, not DLC.
No, I know, but
I wanted to just be clear.
Yeah, they have the core.
Yeah, no, there needs to be.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure we were being clear that they're not going to be adding this stuff onto the existing one.
Right.
It will be a full sequel.
Which
I
isn't a
think
Street
is a
Fighter
good thing.
situation.
I think, I feel like that's a good thing. It's like, look, we'll make another one.
I will admit, I would be okay with buying the single player as a DLC.
Sure.
However,
I would too.
Battlefront is a $60 title, isn't it?
It is. Not anymore.
I was going to say, it's for $40. I would buy it for $40 for the multiplayer and then pay $25 per DLC or something if they were full campaigns. However, outside of that, I would rather it's just in a new game. Okay, so one little last bit of news here. Mm-hmm. We've got Dark Souls 3 had an anti-cheating patch launched last week.
Sweet.
This week. And
that's a good thing, right?
Well, you'd think so, except that it caused massive performance issues. It caused it's not lag per se, but it caused this weird jumping effect where the screen basically freezes and then jumps forward like 10 frames.
It's part of Dark Souls. It's
a very big deal in a game that's all about timing your button presses.
It's the design.
That's your
to
poise
make it harder.
stat.
Yeah, that's
your
what
poise
poise
stat
does. That's what it's working as intended, you guys.
The higher your poise stat is, the less it hitches.
For Christ's sake.
I was going to say the longer because it gives you time to think about the next move.
It's like Twitch plays Dark Souls, where it's like every 30 seconds you have a move.
Yeah. So I should add, they have already pulled the patch and re-released a working one without the performance woes, but I just think it's so funny. From just can't get a break. Everything they do is a misstep lately.
Yeah.
Was that
like
only on
just really
PC
focusing
or was that...
on this game?
It was just in general.
I'm actually not sure off the top of my head, but you are welcome to
It
look
is
into
PC.
It. Okay.
PC.
Shocking.
Yeah, they're getting hit hard.
Right?
Yeah. Now, that's going to do it for the news, but we do have a couple of interesting stories I want to touch on really quick, and then we will take a break and talk about what we've been playing with. But first, we've got Blizzard wants you to know that I know that Genji just keeps headshotting you again and again and doing 360 no-scopes.
He has an aimbot.
But
I swear.
It's not that he's hacking.
What?
He's just way better than you.
What?
You just suck at the
Some
game.
people are just good at FPS, and you're not one of those people.
Sorry, John.
This makes sense.
It's okay.
So basically, Blizzard put out a statement saying, we're going to be super tough on cheaters in this game. We are permabanning on first offense, which I totally support.
That's cool.
But they're also reminding people basically that just because you're getting beat real bad doesn't mean that the other team is cheating. You need, it's basically because I think it's funny. This is Blizzard kind of learning about the toxicity of a first-person shooter because this is their first FPS. Mm-hmm. And also it's Blizzard teaching an audience that doesn't traditionally play first-person shooters. They're kind of telling them the lay of the land here a little bit because there's a much bigger skill gap in this than in, well, not in all of their games, but then in something like WoW. But probably a smaller skill gap, actually, than in something like StarCraft.
That's kind of why they have characters like Soldier
76. Yeah, who plays like a Call of Duty character.
Yeah, he's an intro into the series to help you.
He's literally the tutorial character.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, he's designed it like, okay, let me get used to controls. And
he's the character for idiots, basically.
We are 3 days away from this game, guys.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Well, that's why I didn't buy it.
Which,
Homefront,
I guess,
so I could buy this.
I'm going to tag this onto the news from earlier, or the announcements from earlier. Yep. Forgot to mention because this came out today. Overwatch release times. If you are in Central Time Zone, it is coming out Monday at 6 p.m.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. I know, it's coming out.
We're all getting off work and we're going to play the crap out of this.
Don't yell into your mics, please. For God's sakes.
I got excited. Sorry, Henry.
I'm deaf.
Something hit the table really hard from under it.
So, point being...
I want to play this.
Please don't do that either. So, point being, though, it's coming out basically a whole day earlier than people were originally thinking. And on top...
Marketing lied to me.
And on top of that, I will be playing it. So,
Henry, we will be playing.
Yes, indeed we will. Expect to see content on my YouTube channel, lesser.noob, N00B, on YouTube. Expect there to be a lot of Overwatch content, probably featuring all three of us. So,
possibly.
It'll be fun. Unless you're going to buy it on console like an idiot.
I might to play with some console friends,
would
but
you do that?
I'm getting it on PC mainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he has the option for both. Henry.
Well, he better do both, because if he picks console on a first-person shooter that's a PC-available Blizzard game, he's an idiot.
Quick. It's too quick
Henry,
for the
you might
sticks.
be part of the PC Master Race, but we're
Right?
part of the glorious.
This is cracking me up. This reminds me of one
race.
other little quick interest story that I saw on Twitter today. The stats have come out on the first signature kill mission for Hitman.
Oh, yeah.
They did the weekend. You have one attempt to kill this guy, and if you fail, then you cannot try again. As it turns out, PC players are overwhelmingly better at completing it.
Oh, just one more thing that the PC Master Race has over
let
us
me just
console
bask.
peasants.
Let me bask in this
Hey,
sweet,
you
sweet
might be-
validation.
We're the multi-platform glorious.
It's true.
Listen, don't be mad just because you're a peasant.
It's
Henry, we're
It's
in a different
nice down
tier.
here,
Like
Henry.
we're in like God mode status. Because we
Yeah,
have
is it
every
nice?
gun.
Does
have a
my
care in the
shade
world.
keep you nice and cool?
yeah, man. Just your piles of money for your upgrades.
Yeah, because I spend more money, not you, on $60 pop titles. All right.
true.
Next up, we've got a modder. This is not a huge thing, but I just wanted to touch on this really quick. So a modder has come out and said it will take months to get Final Fantasy X to run at 60 FPS. So you guys, we talked about last week how Final Fantasy X is now available on Steam.
Yes.
Right.
And here's the thing. That's an old third-person Japanese RPG that was originally for what, PS2?
PS2.
Came out
And
15 years ago.
and here's the thing, you guys. Listen, I get it. It's nice for stuff to run at 60 frames per second. You guys know I am a champion of 60 frames per second
don't we
minimum
know
for a
it?
lot of stuff. Here's the thing. There's only certain game types that need to be run at 60 frames. First-person shooters?
Yep.
Yes. Fighting games?
Yes.
Action platformers?
Sometimes.
Usually, but you
If
can
it's
sometimes get away with
If
it.
it's Devil May Cry, yes.
Yes. Well, exactly. So brawlers, definitely.
Yep.
Basically, anything that requires timed inputs should be at 60 or higher frames. It is not a big deal if your turn-based JRPG runs at 30
Although
frames.
So this is a nice little flip of what I usually say. I do kind of want to see Final Fantasy X at 60.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I want to see it there, but there's outrage over the fact
I
that
don't
it was
think that-
30 frames, and it's insane
Yeah,
to
well,
expect
that's the
someone
thing
to
I don't
recode an entire game just to run at 60. It's likely that that game is tied to its frame rate in some way because
Right.
of the statement it'll take months to get it
Well,
running.
yeah, because the game was never like the very floor plan of the game itself is not designed.
It was
around-
designed for PS2 that was running on CRT TVs
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
run at 24 frames per second.
Now, here's the thing, though. You're right.
Yeah.
However, the same can be said about Street Fighter 2, which is a 60 frames per second game,
Right.
even at launch. So age is not a reason to be at
It
a
ain't
lower
nothing but
frame
a
rate.
number.
No, this
The
isn't so
only
much-
reason to be at a lower frame rate is because you're in a genre that's not frame rate dependent,
Right.
or you're in a genre where visual fidelity is more important than performance.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Brandon. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you completely. It's just the game was never designed
Right.
to run at these frames, and the thing about it is that it's aged relatively well, even at its 30 frames to this date.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Eh.
not as great
It's never,
looking as
it's never
it was.
bothered
Eh.
me.
Yeah,
It's aged better than Final Fantasy VII, that's for sure.
yeah. It looks. No, I'm not saying that
has
it's groundbreaking.
three
When it
different
first came
models
out, it
for
was a
every
mind
character.
blower in terms of visuals. But even now, you're like, oh, this is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've seen games come out in the last 2 years that are kind of like,
Now 10-2, they need to start working on that 60 frames. That is actually
Yeah, I need that jiggle.
that's not what I'm talking about.
I need to see them change into their clothes
That
in
was the
60
most
frames.
That's
Convincing
also not what I'm
reply.
talking about. So
not
that battle
unconvincing.
system actually does rely on active time stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you're,
you have
to-
when you hit attack, like they go into
Sure.
their attack. So
Plus, like, I need to know how I'm going to slot my level up points
Yeah.
in 60 frames.
in 60 frames, you got to use that sphere grid, man.
I hate the sphere grid. It's the worst
Oh.
level up system ever conceived.
That's actually one of
But-
the reasons why I never finished that damn.
You have a sphere grid, but you also dress up like a cactar.
I hate everything
a
about that
Tomberry.
game. Also, isn't it Cactuar?
It's it might be-
Cactar.
I say
UAR,
cactar. Might be
like Jaguar.
sure.
Cactuar.
Anyways, next up we
As long
have.
as you
One
don't call it a
here.
chocobo, then we're-
Chocobo.
It's a
it's a chocobo.
chocobo baby. So it's from an
I
old
like
Flash
it.
animation.
Okay.
So next up we've got
Can't argue with that.
new Homefront game, which you guys have heard about.
That came out.
Yes, it came out, and everyone hates it. But there's one thing everyone likes about it. It has some hidden time splitters levels built into it.
Hey,
The only saving grace.
Yeah, and they are old levels too. So
And
it's
they actually
literally the
look
thing
nice.
people like about this is that it has a different game in it.
and it's Time Splitters too. Which
I know.
is the
I will
better
say
one.
this, but how you guys, honestly, people, how are you guys surprised considering the first Homefront?
How did it even get a sequel?
Yeah,
You were
I'm-
saying it sold okay,
yeah.
John?
I think so. There's a lot of marketing behind that game. And it was
really?
it was around the time that like Call of Duty Modern Warfare was really big.
That's true. Wasn't it also around? I might be conflating two things here, but for some reason I thought it was like I remember thinking that it was associated with it, but maybe I'm just conflating these. Wasn't it coming around at the same time as the remake of Red Dawn?
Probably.
When they were going to do the like
think so.
where they were going to do the Chinese thing and then they changed it to North Korean and they're kind of similar
They both had the
and
same
like
thing
yeah.
going on there.
Yeah,
but
so
one's
I wonder
clearly
if they
better
were
than the
maybe
other.
because those both flopped too, like it would have had some parody going on,
Yeah.
but
No, that game, like Homefront, the first one just straight up is not good.
No, it's
There's no redeeming qualities about the first one.
indeed. And then lastly, oh, sorry, John, did you have one more thing you want to throw in?
no. I was just looking up. I don't know how accurate these sales are. 360 it sold about 1.4 million. PS3 it sold about 0.9 million.
That's
Mhm.
garbage, dude.
Windows it sold about 250,000. So yeah, not as good as
Yeah.
I thought.
Well, you're talking about the first one, right?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, dude, that game was trash.
I think it was more that they had a lot, like it's like a brand deal type thing. I feel like, and maybe they're trying to keep the license or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what. Well, it
They're-
feels like they put a lot of effort into the second one, and it still turned out to be.
Well,
absolute
it went
trash.
through hell and
Yeah,
back.
apparently it needed a lot of effort.
Yeah.
What, John, tell them what you were telling me before we started
So
the show.
I saw a tweet earlier that there's probably news stories out there for it too. But when you beat the game, there's a letter from the director at the end, or like the president of the studio that made it, and it's saying like, I just want to thank everybody who went through the development of this game. It went through a lot of hard times. We survived through the dissolving of our original publisher and was bought by Deep Silver. And we somehow got this game out there in spite of all of this stuff that happened. So, like, this is
Kind of what? So thank you for buying a trash game.
well, I mean, they're probably not saying they called it. I think they called it an amazing game, but you're the developer, of course. You're gonna it's your heart and soul that you poured into this
Right.
thing for
Yeah,
three
but
or
that's the
4
sad
years.
Part, like I want to like it, I really do.
Yeah,
but it's
it's-
not good.
Yeah, I don't know. You actually do seem like you really want to like it genuinely, and I feel
Yeah.
bad for you because
know,
there
I
will
wanna
not be
like
a
It
good.
seems right up your alley, like
know,
for tone and story and that kind of stuff. But
I want it to work. But look, I mean, I can be as everybody knows I'm kind of light on things and I like odd things, but
Yeah.
there's a limit.
yeah,
You know,
and it is
and
home
even
front.
if I want it, it's just not. You know,
Hilarious.
you can't sprinkle diamonds on shit and expect it to be nice.
Fair enough. Well
true.
said. All right. Well, that'll bring us to our last story. So, you guys know that there was a canceled version of Oblivion that was being developed for PSP?
I heard
No.
it once before.
I did not know till
years
today.
ago.
Yeah, I
heard.
had.
I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was a joke. But
I had no idea. It was going to be part of the Elder Scrolls Travels series before they canceled it. It was very interesting. It was not the same Oblivion you'd play, obviously, on PC, but it was a hub-based, still first-person Elder Scrolls game where the hub is the Imperial City, and you go to various locations that are individually loaded dungeons, basically. It sounds really cool. You can find screenshots and video online now. It looks like utter crap, but it was a PSP game, so probably
Yeah,
decent for the
I
time.
can imagine that would be very hard to control.
Certainly. Although that said,
Unless you're
it doesn't
clawing
look
it.
awful either. Like
Yeah,
it looks
no,
like
it
there
looks
looks like a pretty
pretty-
fun game. And Bethesda's trying, or ZeniMax rather, is trying to take it down as fast as they
Oh,
can, but
yeah.
it keeps getting reposted. So just search around a little bit, you'll find a working link.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
just-
internet.
worst comes to worst, Reddit. It'll happen.
I think that's maybe just as a quick side note. I think that may be my favorite thing about the internet is the fact that companies cannot just take stuff
Right.
down. Once it's up, once it's posted, it's there forever. Now that certainly has its downsides, but for gaming preservation, it's been huge, and I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's good to know. I mean, I don't understand why they're so like, oh, we gotta get rid of this. I mean,
I
Because
don't
it's not a
either.
finished thing.
Yeah,
and
it's a
not
technicality
representative
thing, I'm
of
sure.
their.
oh yeah, I mean, there's
their
probably some
products.
liability that could be an issue. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Exactly. But yeah, interesting stuff, and that's going to do it for our news and stories for today. We're going to take a quick break here, but stick around because we'll be right back with what we've been playing.
Yeah. Mirror beer.
Hey guys, welcome back. So, we are going to be jumping right back into what we've been playing this week. And I think the first one on the docket for pretty much everyone, well, actually, I'm going to give John a very special little privilege here.
Oh, thank you.
And let him go first because his game came out first.
It's also his birthday.
And this is something that we it's on my birthday.
Is it?
What?
Huh?
Did you say it was my birthday?
Well, yeah, because you got to go first.
Oh, hey, I get 2 birthdays this year. That's great.
Go Shorty.
We kind of talked about it a little bit last week. I didn't want to get too deep into it because I hadn't played it, and Brandon had. And that's Uncharted 4. This little game from.
Have you played it now?
I have played through the entire game.
What's that game that got a 4 out of 10?
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah,
it's
just
4 out of 10.
Daily issues.
I'm gonna have to start copywriting my jokes.
This is. Hey, if you don't say them on air,
just
we
steal my
them.
punchlines. I was
We
waiting
steal
to
it.
sneak it in there.
Hey, it's a dog-eat-dog world, man.
Evidently, dog.
Uncharted 4 is probably one of my favorite games I played this year. Top 3.
Wow.
Wow, that's early to say that.
Wait,
man.
do you like this better than Disney Infinity?
Yeah, I have not played Disney Infinity this year, and I've played much more of this.
That burn.
Sick burns.
All right, sorry.
No fires in the studio. Come on, people.
All right,
do we have fire
so tell
extinguishers?
me, like, how does this stack up? I know a lot of people were not super thrilled with the third one compared to the first two.
I liked all 3 Uncharted's.
I'm shocked.
I would rank 2. I would prior to this, I'd rank it 2, 3, 1.
Interesting.
So
it seems like the general consensus is 2, 1, 3, right?
yeah, and it's
Yeah,
mainly
that's what I was
because
gonna
like
think.
one was the original, one kind of popularized like, this version of this genre.
Sure.
And it was super pretty. Animations were great. I think the jump to 2 was so significant that 2 is
It's kind of like Assassin's Creed 2.
right, exactly, and 3 kept a lot of those things, kept those big set piece moments,
But didn't really do as much, kind of? Or?
They did probably more in 3 for the set piece moments, but there was.
I more meant in terms of overall. Like, did they change less compared to 2 to 3 versus 1 to 2? So maybe people were expecting it to be as different as 1 was from 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And it kind of came out a little bit later in the PS3 life cycle,
Sure.
and it's a pretty quick turnaround for 3. It's kind of a disjointed game story-wise.
Well, where does 4 fit into all this?
So 4 is now my favorite.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Better than 2?
Better than 2, and it's mainly it plays quite a bit differently from the previous 3. Like whenever you got into combat encounters in the previous 3, it was guys automatically saw you and they knew where you were and they would start shooting at you.
Yep.
This has a more of a stealth focus to a lot of the combat.
cool.
So you'll run into enemies. They'll be like, hey, there's some shoreline guys over there. Let's see how many we can take out before they notice us.
Sure.
So you can hide in like tall grass. You can hide around corners, on ledges, and stealth kill people. And that's kind of the approach that I took most of the time. And I'm not really big into stealth games. I'm terrible at them, but they give you the tools to pull it off a little bit better than than in other games.
Yeah, it's really well done.
And it's once you alert your enemies, you can actually lose them.
Oh, that's important.
Which is huge for me. So like, there's this one scene where you're on these ruins. There's a lake underneath you. So whenever someone spotted me, I'd just like jump into the water and swim around for a bit, and then come back up. And you can also mark enemies, so you could see where their like little arrow is to kind of tell if you're in a safe place or not.
Sort of a la Far Cry?
Kind of, yeah. Yep.
Sure. Can you see them through like walls and stuff?
You could see their marker through walls. Yep.
Is it like a marker though on your HUD, or is it a marker on your minimap?
On your screen.
Okay, so it is on your HUD. Okay, cool. Nice. Well, sounds like a lot of fun. I hear that. How's like the gunplay stack up and all that? How are the set pieces?
Gunplay is better than the previous games. They've just had years to kind of.
Yeah,
work
I
on
heard
that.
they added some kind of snap to stuff for the aiming.
I found that there was less of that than in
That's
previous
interesting.
games.
I was actually reading or watching a video about this today. Apparently, one of the huge strives they made with Uncharted 4 is accessibility for disabled gamers.
Yes. Yep.
They have like an insane number of accessibility options to basically you can play the game with one thumbstick, which is really impressive.
When you first turn on the game, it gives you all those options right
That's
away,
so
which is
cool.
great. It's like, hey, are you colorblind?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any physical disabilities? Like, what things do you want
Right.
to tweak for this game?
And one
That's
thing
huge.
that was really big, I know, was a huge sticking point was they made it so that you can hold down a button to enter like a turbo mode. You can enable that.
Oh.
So basically, like in combat, you can hold down the punch button and you'll just kind of continue attacking.
That's right.
And same goes for like quick time events, because apparently the thing that started this big push was a disabled gamer who talked to the developers at a conference.
Josh Straub.
Yes, at a conference, and was saying how he had played all the way through 2 to the end and then could not complete it because of a series of door puzzles you had to do with QuickTime events. It was physically impossible for him to beat it. And they were like, well, that does suck. We need to fix that. And they made a really admirable stride.
It's huge. I was very surprised when I saw that, and it's great. I've met Josh a couple times at Game Informer. I believe he was an intern at Game Informer for a short period of time, and he's always been an advocate for making games more accessible. Obviously,
Absolutely.
He has a group that he is in charge of that focuses on accessibility for games.
Mm-hmm. So cool. I think that's great. And they did it in a way that it doesn't seem to have affected any of the other gameplay. I think the one thing they said is that your camera is a little more responsive. So if you run into an area that has enemies, it'll sort of pan it gently so that you can have them in your field of vision.
There is like a control where it's the camera will follow you, or you can control the camera.
Nice. So, that is cool.
This game also is kind of one of those, like, for the last few months, we've seen console games that are obviously better on PC for the way that they run, the way that they look. There are few PC games that I've seen that look better than this game, which is actually I think it's
a testament to the developer's prowess, because it's certainly not beating out any PC specs. But if it looks that good, that is quite an accomplishment.
A lot of great lighting. There's a lot of great physics.
Now
everything's super detailed.
That's always been true, though, of the Uncharted games, isn't it? They're the best looking
top-notch
PS4 games outside of like some of the real first party titles.
Each one of the Uncharted games brings something particularly interesting to the table. I remember the first one, like the fact that your clothes stayed wet after you got out of the water and gradually dried was like people lost their crap about that.
Like there's like in this one, there's a mechanic where you're sliding down like rock slide hills or mud hills. And on the rock slide ones, each individual rock will actually slide down the hill on its own and hit other rocks and interact with them and cause other ones to slide down. It's awesome. There's this one little touch that I noticed when I was walking into a cave with a really bright light source in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
You could see the light shining through Nathan Drake's ears. Like,
that's pretty cool.
If you put like a light to your finger, you could see kind of like reddish.
You give yourself a Rudolph nose.
Yeah, exactly. They can do that with their
that is
engine.
crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, well, these games are the closest thing I've ever seen in all of video games to a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's really impressive, I have to say. Even as a PC gamer, I look at Uncharted and go, man, I wish this would come to my console.
Yeah, which makes you wonder, too.
Or my lack
imagine
of a console.
if they actually did, PC port that over.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how good it would look, the lighting effects? Oh, my God.
Be
so, surprisingly, with all this, with all the graphics and the visuals and all the art and stuff that they have in there, this game runs super well.
Yeah, that's another thing.
That's interesting, because I had heard some early reports that it was having some frame rate issues, but it sounds like they've cleared that up.
2 or 3 places that I noticed the frame rate drop.
Cool. Like lots of high particle type stuff.
It was I think it was one time I was loading into an auction scene, and another time most of the time my PS4 sounded like a jet engine.
Do you
really?
What model?
Yeah,
wait, are we still only on the first model of PS4 or? Okay.
I think there've been some slight revisions.
Wait, so yours does too, Brandon? Does your PS4 sound like a jet engine? Because my roommate Phil's is so loud that when he closes his door to his bedroom, I can hear the humming through the wall.
It's only this game.
Mine
for him, it's literally everything, but he also smokes in his bedroom, so it may be. Well, I actually helped him clean it this year, and it still sounds like that.
No, for me, I think at specific moments it'll start zoning in.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first loaded in Uncharted, it would spool up pretty hard.
Yeah.
But after that, after about 15 seconds, that was it.
So, see, for him, Netflix causes that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
It's bad.
But then again, that's the problem with some of the PS4 consoles. It's almost like you're playing a sound lottery.
Yeah, it's also the problem with blowing smoke directly into your ventilation system.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing.
Kids don't smoke, and definitely don't smoke in front of your console.
Ironically enough, that's the problem I'm having with that I'm just now getting with my previous gen consoles, like my Xbox 360 and my PlayStation 3. Because when I was living in my previous building, like I used to smoke in my room, and now I'm starting to see, oh wow, this is a horrible idea.
Yeah, I can see that.
Again. Yeah. So yeah, don't do that. And if you have all the more important for a PC.
Awesome. Any last thoughts on Uncharted 4 from either of you guys?
I actually really enjoyed the story. It doesn't pick up until about halfway through, which is what I've heard before.
Yeah, I'm watching a Let's Play, and like it's been cool, but I'm not super compelled to watch more. I'm going to continue because it's getting such good reviews.
It's kind of once you get to there's a big change in scenery.
You're going to Africa.
That's where. Yep, you go to Madagascar.
Oh, do you? I was just referencing Metal Gear.
It's actually it is actually what you do. But
you gotta kidnap a translator.
So it's like almost Africa.
Things open up quite a bit, and they start diving deeper into the lore of the treasure hunt, and that's pretty nice. And
you start raiding some tombs.
You start raiding some tombs. It's a more grounded story too. It's about Nate and his brother. I think that
who, correct me if I'm wrong here, but did not exist before this game.
He did not exist before this game.
Did not.
But
wow, that is some Blizzard level retcon right there.
There is a lot of retconning, especially with there's some childhood scenes with Sam and Nate. And they do a little bit of retconning with their.
Do they do it cleverly, like, or is it in such a way that you're like, oh, come on, this should have come up in one of the earlier games?
I think Sam should have come up in one of the earlier games, but this is something like Nate never talked to Elena, his now wife, about Sam. Previous
that
to
is
this.
weird.
So, like, even to the characters in this game outside of Sully, like, no one knew about Sam.
Well, if they do the writing right, and don't tell me, but if they do the writing right, then I'm sure they can come up with some emotional reason that he has not shared it with anyone. Well, maybe displaced feelings of guilt or something.
Well, there have been some inklings earlier on in the game referencing that. I won't talk about the scene.
Yeah, let's not. Well, let's not even get into it any further.
It's pretty interesting. If you watch through it, the playthrough, you'll make some notices. Yeah. But for me, the one thing I'll just note on very quickly is I really love the brawling changes that they've done.
Oh, yeah.
In all the other 3 games, typically, it's kind of like you lock on, you beat them.
It seems like there's a lot of environmental stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it's so much. It feels like it's so much more than that. Maybe it's just an illusion to the sense because your AI are effectively like almost like moving bits of the environment. So, and also they kind of played it out to the sense that, yeah, you can fight, but you're not a fighter. So it almost feels like your AI need to work with you to win it.
That is cool.
So, I mean, I'll talk more about it as I get into it, but it feels satisfying.
It's really awesome. I think it's a must-have for anyone who has a PS4.
I mean, it sounds like maybe Game of the Year for PlayStation. Maybe
it's
at least a runner.
It's definitely a contender.
That or The Witness. Yeah. What? Hey, if we're talking PS4,
I'm not gonna get into it.
I just saw some daggers, guys. What's going on here?
All right.
I didn't like that game.
So what have you guys been playing? What have you been spending time on while I've been playing this?
Doom.
To be fair, I've been also Doom.
Like the one from like 94?
Yeah, I really like the Brutal Doom mod. It's great.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Christmas
no, but for real, you guys, get Brutal Doom. It's awesome. If you want to just like play old school Doom, Brutal Doom is a mod for free that you can get off of, I think, ModDB, that adds in a Y-axis, among other things. You can look around fully. It adds in particle effects. They add in executions. They add in like melee brawling kills. They add in like new redone custom music with live instruments. I mean, it's the best mod I've ever played.
This sounds
for like a
lot
game.
like this new game that's out for $60, also called Doom.
I actually would go out on a limb and say that they took quite a bit of inspiration from this mod, which got a lot of popularity.
Yeah,
so I've been playing
what's a Doom?
A lot of it. So Doom is this guy. No, so Doom is
the Doom guy.
Yes, Doom is the awesome new game from id Software, based on obviously the original Doom from way back in the day. These are the guys who created FPS as a genre as we think of it today. This is their first release since Doom 3, which was 06 or something like that.
Their first release since Rage.
04.
Rage. Okay, right. I'm talking about Doom.
04.
Wasn't it 04? Okay.
Yeah.
04?
It was somewhere. It was somewhere around 04, 06 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. John probably can. He's got like a categorical memory for this crap.
We were just going through a few things. It's probably 04.
But
so August 3rd, 04.
There you go. So point being, though, it's very different from Doom 3, which is awesome, actually, in my opinion. I enjoyed Doom 3, don't get me wrong.
Doom 3 was a little bit slower paced.
It was slower paced. It had a lot more mainstream elements to it. It was more focused on the story. It was much more of a narrative. Like you played as like a distinct character, and you met a lot of different people, and there's a lot of talking and a lot of puzzles with key codes and stuff like
and
that.
A lot of
focus
escort on the lighting and the graphics
and
that
escort
kind of
missions. Those stupid drones that you have to like push. They can go under the doors or whatever. That was the worst. But all that. Oh, and the lighting stuff too. You're right. I forgot about some of the lighting.
Yeah, like you had a flashlight.
But you couldn't have your gun out at the same time.
And not just that, but there were certain sections where your flashlight would go out, and you'd have to follow those drones through the dark when they had a flashlight.
Unless you downloaded the Hello Kitty mod, which made your flashlight into a Hello Kitty flashlight.
Nice. Anyways, though, Doom 4 is the one that I would like to talk about. It is awesome in every way. Not every way. So here's the thing. We talked about, last week, we talked about how I was very nervous about it. I wasn't going to pre-order it, which I didn't. However, once I saw about 20 minutes of footage on YouTube of it on day one, I immediately purchased it because my fears were for nothing. They were misplaced. The multiplayer, still not great. The single player, oh my God, you guys. Someone tell me I'm wrong. This is you guys' one chance. Name another good first-person shooter with a single-player campaign this good since, I don't know, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 almost?
Episode 2.
Episode 2, excuse me. I mean, honestly. Any single-player first-person shooter campaign that is on the level of this.
Cryostasis.
I don't even know what that is.
It's just a random one that I knew a lot of people
right?
know.
There's a lot of good stories out there, but I'm way too on my Doom.
And the thing is, the gameplay is so good. So it's fast-paced. You start out with only a single jump, and you earn the double jump that you get later. It has gun variety where you can carry as many guns as you want, as you should be able to, thank God.
In a Doom game. It
has a good weapon variety, a good number of weapons. It seems like there's around 12 from what I've seen, although there may even be a couple more. I have not finished the game. It is a total blast and adrenaline spike to play. The combat is super fast-paced, and they've done this amazing job of keeping the combat going while allowing you to do some, like, kind of inventory management type stuff with it, where your chainsaw is back, and the chainsaw runs off of fuel units, and when you and the amount of fuel you use is based on the size of the enemy you're killing or the type of enemy you're killing. When you kill an enemy with the chainsaw, they drop an inordinate amount of universal ammo. So what you want to do is shoot with your guns till you're almost out of ammo, then pull out the chainsaw, cut through like a hard enemy, get a ton of ammo for all your guns, including some of the harder to find stuff like rockets and all that, and then go switch right back in without slowing down. Now you've got all your ammo back. You didn't have to run around to collect it or anything. Then on top of that, augmenting that system is the new glory kill system. So the way glory kills work is you shoot an enemy until they're staggered, and then you can do a finishing execution melee attack where you will kill them instantly, and then also they drop a bunch of bonus health.
That should also be noted too is that you can also use it in a strategic point, as you do gain a small time of being invincible.
Yes, that's also true. You have some invincibility frames.
So if you're getting like badgered by a huge guy and he's about to do a stomp slam on you, going ahead and knock a staggered guy down as he's coming down and basically kill you. You have a small point of invulnerability, allowing that splash damage to go past you, and you can come back in and just hammer him to death.
Yes, exactly.
Great stuff.
And so basically, by switching between glory kills and the chainsaw, you can really nicely keep your health and ammo topped off at all times without having to waste your time breaking up combat looking around for crap.
Exactly. It's beautiful.
The platforming is solid. It's clear that they took huge inspiration from Dishonored, and it does very well. You can climb ledges, which is huge.
Great. Yeah.
It's so nice. Basically, I think the ledge climbing is one of their best innovations, actually, because they've managed to keep the jump reasonably high and not floaty at all, which is vitally important in Doom, while at the same time maintaining their verticality by allowing you to climb from chest height if there's or really eyeball height if there's a ledge there. You'll grab it and climb up without giving you that silly Halo space jump type effect, which I can't stand personally. So you guys, I love this game. I played the first 6 to 8 hours of it solo, then went back, and I'm now 5 episodes into my YouTube playthrough, which you guys feel free to check it out. If you're still on the fence about the game, just search Henry Plays Doom on YouTube or go to my channel lesser.noob. And you can just watch a couple episodes. I give a lot more detailed thoughts on stuff as it unfolds, and also just if you're like me, you'll see the gameplay footage and just be like, I'm in. I mean, frankly, I was sold when I saw the intro. The first 30 seconds of the game,
really
minor
good.
spoilers, is you on an operating table surrounded by unwilling, and you literally just snap out of your bonds, murder one by smashing his face into the side of the table, then get up, pick up a pistol, and you're moving.
And to be clear, it's not
Best
even an operating
tutorial
table.
ever.
It's a casket that you were in. That's
sort of.
But it's like a stone tablet that you were on that has your
with
body
candles
shape,
and
like,
crazy
carved
stuff
out
on
in
it.
Yes, it's the story is really cool. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the very basic premise you see in the first minute of the game is that basically the Doom Marine appears to have been exhumed from some sort of tomb, and some sort of resurrection ritual or god worship was going on, and you are back, and that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You get a shotgun.
That's all you need.
You shoot some dudes with your pistol, walk into the next room, and your armor is on an altar.
That pistol feels really good. As a first
The secondary
impression,
fire of that pistol feels really good. I don't like the primary.
Well, I think there's an upgrade for that.
But
Right
right away,
not for the primary fire. There's not.
right away when you get off that table and then there's demons there and you start shooting them,
Yes.
that
the
that first
gunplay is
impression
great.
is just okay.
In
I'm
terms of once you get your first gun after the pistol, you'll basically never use the
right,
pistol
once you
again.
get the shotgun, then it's
a shotgun, bro.
a shotgun.
It does have infinite ammo, though, the pistol.
That's
so
true.
it's your fallback. And what I really like about it, actually, is its secondary fire. It's got a charging sort of sniper bolt shot, or I guess it's more like a carbine, sort of.
Yeah.
And if you get headshots on almost all of the basic enemies, it's a one-shot kill.
How much do you have to charge that?
Not
Definitely
much.
dabble
I'd
with
maybe
it.
charge it about a third of the way for
Okay.
possessed or imps, and then for possessed soldiers and stuff. Or sorry, for unwilling or imps, and then for possessed soldiers, I'll give it a full charge.
Because I wasn't sure if it was if it gradually got stronger.
It does.
Okay. Instead of
Definitely.
you need a full charge for it to do
No.
all the damage.
No,
it's just
the
it scales.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, this game is great. The story is great. The multiplayer is painfully average, but if you're into modern military type shooters or Halo or something like that,
be okay
you'll probably
with it.
like it. It's
Serviceable.
probably fine. I don't like it personally because it's not class based. If you guys didn't listen to my rant when we did the beta, it doesn't have classes, which it shouldn't, but it's not class based. However, you have a loadout, which is weird to me. You shouldn't have a loadout in an arena shooter. There's only one weapon type that's on the ground in the levels. You're not competing for the different weapons. There's no rocket jumping. Everyone double jumps by default.
Is there rocket jumping in the single player?
No.
Okay. I was just curious.
There's not.
What
They've
the differences are between the way that the single player
A
plays
lot.
and the multiplayer.
Even the key bindings actually vary between single player and multiplayer. And I guess I should bring up, before we move on here, I want to bring up the snap map mode.
Mm-hmm.
So people have talked about this a lot, but most people had no idea what it was. I certainly didn't know what it really was. This is more than just a map designer. It allows for a lot of custom game modes. You can remove weapons from the match completely. I've seen some incredible remakes of the original Doom levels that are great in 3D. It's very cool
awesome.
to explore classic environments you're used to seeing in that faux
so
3D.
cool.
Yeah.
The weird, what did you call that? I can never remember the 3D sprite 3D, quote unquote. But point being, you really, really get a blast of nostalgia. There's some really cool custom maps out there, and the rule set potential is pretty big there. Now, I'm going to mention one last thing about it, and then we can move on, but I really wanted to throw this out there for those who maybe still aren't quite convinced. There's one caveat that you should be aware of, and that is id was approached and asked if there was going to be full mod tools for this game, and they basically said, don't you like Snap Map though? So I would not expect full mod support, unfortunately.
Sure.
But Snap Map gets you halfway there, I guess.
It's a nice start.
It's a good game. I highly recommend it. If you like first-person shooters, single-player stuff, get it.
I've only played 2 levels. I'm very, very pleasantly surprised from everything that kind of went up to the release.
In 20 minutes of watching a video, I went from will not buy to buying now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just sum up my personal experience in one sentence. Doom is like a roller coaster, except you don't get on the train, you just appear on it, and it's already going down the steepest slope, and it just goes fucking crazy from there.
It's a good one.
Excuse my language. Holy crap. It's so good. And then the central kills is nice, too. I like getting it up close and, letting them know that I'm there for them.
I like ripping a demon's heart out and then feeding it to him.
So, personally, I like the rage and just, tear some of the unwilling in half. That's great.
Do they get more elaborate, the bigger
Yes.
The enemies?
Yes.
Okay.
And they are unique to each enemy. And if you don't know this, there's about 8 different animations that are based on the direction you approach them
That's awesome.
from. So, like,
That's
if you
good.
jump above and do it, you do like a
Curb
stomp
stomp.
their head type thing. If you come up behind them, you'll like break their neck. If you come up from the side of the unwilling, you rip off their arm and beat them to death with it. It's pretty great.
Or if you're moving and sweeping while looking at their head and hit it at the right time, you'll like literally like clothesline their legs and you just like freaking chest punch them into the
That's
dirt.
good.
Hell yeah.
That's good.
Brandon, what else have you been playing?
Well, the 2 games you're talking about, I'm just gonna pass over a couple of games that I've been playing. I played a little bit of Limbo, and it's Limbo.
Yep.
So that's all I got to say about that.
You bend back and you go under a bar.
Yeah, it's been great.
There's some conga music
You're
sometimes.
just the biggest troll today.
I'm so
yeah, and then I needed some D, so I played some Ridge Racers. I needed to get the D.
Oh, yeah.
Drift.
The
drift.
initial
Thank you
D.
for the clarification there, because I had no idea what you were talking
I
about.
had to get that drift, man. So I played some Ridge Racers Unbounded, which is
Oh yeah.
an interesting game. The only thing bad about it is it should not be called Ridge Racers.
I kind of forgot
Aside from that, it's a pretty solid
that
game.
was like their reboot of sorts for Ridge Racer.
You mean, hey, let's make a Burnout game and call it Ridge Racers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad thing. I mean, Burnout had a good concept going. I just, the only thing holding this game back is that it's called Ridge Racers.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that, and then played a little bit of Swapper, which is another indie game. Which
That's a
is
fantastic game.
puzzle. It's
Yeah.
a puzzler.
You don't like it?
I think
It's
I
okay.
I like it so far.
There's some puzzles that broke me for a while.
It's also not very compelling to keep playing it. Like they don't do a very good job of rewarding you.
It's a very pretty game.
Yeah,
it's
it depends on what kind of aesthetic you're into.
Yeah.
Honestly, I actually did not like.
See,
the
I'm into the
presentation.
space sci-fi thing,
Yeah.
so it's like literally up my alley.
For me, it seemed very bland.
Everything's supposed to be like a photorealistic claymation sort of thing.
I
that
like
they're
the
doing.
style. I don't like the final
Sure,
product.
sure.
Yeah, I think I like it so far, but then again, like the genre that it shoots into is something that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of personal liking going here.
Yeah.
So objectively, I can understand where you're coming from, Henry.
And it's
I do like the tones. Like I like the idea that you're not actually swapping. You're like creating clones that then. Oh, do I need to cut that? Oh, really? 'Cause
I mean, you don't have to, but it's.
I don't. I figured that I haven't even. I played like an hour of that
Okay.
game. Like.
Oh wait, no, yeah, that kind of.
Yeah.
Kinda go
Okay.
into
You
that.
scared the crap out of me there. For
No,
Christ's sake.
there is a thing at the end.
Okay.
that's
Well,
like,
now who's the spoiler guy?
hey,
Now
oh,
who's hinting at
oh, there's
spoilers?
twists.
I'm sure. Anyways,
Whoa.
apologies. I'm not cutting this, but we are going to shame John for making assumptions.
Wait. I'm just confused. Like, what went wrong here?
John freaked out
Never
because he
mind.
thought I did a spoiler.
And what was the spoiler?
Kinda.
Well,
Supposedly.
I'm not going to even bring it back up just in case it is, but especially since you're doing a playthrough. But it appears that he was wrong. Anyways, enough of the
Yes.
You'll find out the game's
But
not
anyway-
enough of the behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
So essentially put, that's really all. I've been playing more so Doom and everything else. So, hey, seriously, guys, buy Doom. It's a great
Yeah,
game.
no
If you're
kidding.
into shooters, like I can't describe it to you better than Henry did at this
I
point.
wish that there was like a demo for that game.
But it's god.
It really should have
Yeah, it
one.
should have one.
But I mean, it's like I said, you don't have to watch my channel because I don't need to plug this for the 10th time till the end of the show at
I'm sorry,
least.
which
but
channel?
It's lesser.noob
Oh,
at
okay.
Cumulus.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. But here's the big thing. Watch a little bit of playthrough of it,
Yeah.
and you will get exactly what it is. It's not the kind of thing you need a demo to really get
Yeah, this
into. It
is-
should be pretty
yeah,
obvious.
This is one of the few games where it's not trying to do a bunch of other things. It is literally, hey, you want to kill some demons? I got just the thing for you, bro. I put some demons in your demons so you kill demons.
Do you
want
want to move real quick while you're doing that? Damn,
I heard
right
you like
do.
double jumping, so I put a jump in your jump so you jump while you jump. Like that's basically what we're talking about here.
It is. It's
Yeah,
just
awesome.
more of everything. It's great.
I'm sorry, whoever
Your
made that
meme
quote.
game is off the charts. All right, so I played some more Hearthstone.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't really have much to say about it because I've talked about Hearthstone for hours on this show, but I still like the game. I did some Arena, which I haven't done in a very long time. I did very poorly. First
thus
match.
is the arena.
Well, I won't spoil the exact numbers, but in the second one in particular, I had a rough time because I was like, I don't need a tier list. Because I felt bad because in my first video that I did of the Arena, which you guys can watch all of these.
Sorry, where?
I'm not doing it again. But you can watch all of these. But mostly in the first one, I go through every card and look at the tier list. And,
Okay.
but I pick my cards with you guys, because I want you guys to be able to see how I'm building it. But I feel guilty using a tier list, kind of.
Yeah.
Then I did a second one without a tier list, and let's just say next one I'm going to be using a tier list again. It was rough.
It's not a bad,
Spoiler
not a bad
alert.
idea.
Well, no more of a spoiler than me saying that the name of the first episode in that arena series is Henry's Hubris. But yeah, check it out if you want to see me have a bit of a rough time. Besides that, though, it's been pretty calm. I've been mostly just doing stuff for the channel. I've played a little bit more Clash of, what is it called? Not Clash of Clans.
Clash Royale.
Clash Royale. That game is intensely frustrating and super random, and because I don't have certain key meta units, I literally cannot win on certain arenas. Namely, I have not gotten the Skeleton Horde yet, which is total bullshit because you literally need it to counter any powerful single enemy. Sure. But it's an okay game. I still get that awful itch in the back of my skull if I know that I have no chests unlocking at any given time, which is horrible. But besides that, here's one good one. This is weird. I saw Call of Duty Zombies, the original mobile game, for 99 cents on the App Store this week.
It's not a bad purchase.
I picked it up. I mean, it looks like shit. Yeah. Like, it looks awful. It's not even the right resolution for my screen.
Right.
But it plays pretty darn good, I got to admit. It's got 3 maps. It has the original one, Zombie Verrückt, excuse me, Verrückt.
We just made some
the one with where
somewhere.
they, I know, the one where they introduced the power systems and the drink machines and all that. And then they also have one Pacific Theater map as well, which I can't remember the name of. Okay. And I think it's from World at War probably or something.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But and for 99 cents, I mean, I probably put 2 or 3 hours into it, so it paid for itself.
Worth.
Yeah, cool. Also, it has co-op, although I don't know anyone else with it to try it with. So, sure. But yeah, if you're bored and you're looking for a cheap game, it's not bad.
Yeah.
John, you play anything else you wanted to talk about before we go?
Yeah, just one last thing. I'm gearing up for World of Warcraft Legion. As we kind of talked about last week, I started an alliance.
Just to clarify, are you gearing up as in shifting gears, or you're not gearing a character for a WoW expansion, are you? Because you'll replace that all in 10 minutes.
I am gearing up for the transmogrification wardrobe.
Yes, right, because they're going to make it more like Diablo, right? Where it's like a collection.
Right. Any quest that you've completed, whether you chose that item or not, is in that wardrobe.
What?
Yeah, for transmogrify.
What? Is that account bound or character bound?
Account bound.
No way. So as someone who has every class at almost max level, is it likely I'm going to have access to 60% of the transmog library just immediately?
Yep.
Oh my god, you guys, I'm so excited.
Right?
Brandon, transmogging is you can change the physical appearance of a piece of armor without actually changing any of the stats.
About this.
It's one of the best things that WoW has over something like Destiny, in my opinion.
And they've had it in Diablo for a couple of years now.
It's pretty great. I think it came out with Reaper of Souls.
Yeah, yep.
And it is great in Diablo as well.
Top-notch system.
Although Diablo could use a little bit more variety among the modeling.
It can, yeah. So can WoW these days, but...
At least WoW's got 6 expansions worth of each expansion has its own theme, kind of Wrath of the Lich King was kind of Viking stuff, and Pandaria was super Chinese stuff.
Yep.
Oh my god, the tier sets in Pandaria are possibly offensive.
Some are cool, but yeah, some are.
I did not like the cloth armor.
Yeah.
I've got a butterfly clip in my hair, I think.
Yeah.
On my undead mage.
So yeah, I'm working on my priest, leveling her.
What spec?
Shadow, right now.
What level?
43.
What type of leveling?
I am now leveling in dungeons.
You found the efficient way.
Hey. No, so I've been every character I've always just leveled in questing, and I thought I was doing it at a pretty quick clip. So up until level 22 or so, I was
poor naive bastard.
I know. I was doing just regular questing, and then in one night I got to 43.
Yeah, and then you ran Wailing Caverns and got 5 levels off.
And so I've just been going into looking for group at whatever's I'm at the lowest level range for, and then just everyone carries me through.
Yep.
It. So
you want to level even faster? Dual spec into healing.
So here's the reason why I'm going Shadow though. For most of my 10
once you
years
hit about
playing,
55, you can't heal with it anymore.
I've been DPS.
Well, sure.
So I don't feel comfortable healing.
At level 40, you don't feel comfortable healing?
No.
Okay.
Not right now. I need to practice with friends.
As an X-raid healer.
Yeah.
Healing is really easy. You just have to pay
I
attention.
know. I just need to I've
It's
dabbled in
easier
tanking.
than DPSing. It's just a little more responsibility.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
be
I
happy
know.
you're not tanking. Tanking is bullshit.
I know. And I've dabbled in tanking with my paladin and my warrior, but like
I can't stand tanking on a paladin. It's too much. I feel so impotent. Like you don't have enough like taunt pull. Like with my warrior, I can guarantee that a single
You just
target
yell
will
at
attack
things
me.
and punch
Yeah,
them.
but like with the paladin, like you throw it on a consecrate, but if somebody else is better threat than you, you're just like well I'll throw my shield and
just
then
Avengers Shield.
then somebody gets a massive crit and you're just like, well, that sucks.
Yeah. So, I mean, my previous spell casting class was a mage, so it's pretty close to that, only with more dots. So
I like honestly, I really like Shadow a lot,
Shadow's
especially
pretty cool.
leveling with Shadow.
Was there a glyph where you can change it so you don't get all transparent when you go into shadow form? Okay.
But it's not.
Because I like looking at my gear.
You're going to be purple and fully visible is the thing. It looks way worse than normal shadow form. I'm just telling you this.
Okay.
If you want to see what your gear looks like, I would just push F1.
Okay.
Or control F1 by default, I think.
I do.
That's what changes you out of shadow form.
Oh.
Sorry, I play with hotkeys.
I need to set up macros again.
So for those who don't know, pet bar and or like the special bar like that is the I always switch it from control function keys to just the function keys.
Okay.
But by default, it's control and that function
is that just
key.
in your settings that you can do that?
It's key bindings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm having fun with that. It's First Alliance character, so that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Been Horde for 10 years. So.
Wow. What's your any? I know you're mostly playing kind of like insulated from most of the community, like just the way you're leveling. But what's been your experience with the Alliance so far compared to the Horde?
Less monsters.
Less monsters?
I mean, because the Horde is just a group of monsters together.
Yeah, sure. Joking aside, though, have you noticed any differences?
Not really. I mean, I'm going through like Dunmorrow and the wetlands, so everything's pretty just foresty and.
Well, I meant more with players and stuff, like the way people treat each other, like the general way people talk to each other. Like for example, like Baron's chat is so much worse than the equivalent Alliance zone.
Yeah.
However, I would argue that the Horde are a better community because they have less young people who are super prominent players. However, I'd also argue that they are a less social community because they have a habit of getting kind of elitist sometimes and dumping on people.
Sure. Yep.
This is my experience across like 3 servers, so it's not true for all servers, but it seems like Horde generally are slightly older players, slightly more competent, but also way more elitist.
Sure.
Whereas Alliance is a lot more friendly to new players, but there's also a lot more trolling, there's a lot more scamming, there's a lot more BS that goes on.
I have had a couple of really good groups, like we were in some dungeon and there were quests that we needed to turn in and I didn't know where to go and everyone was kind of leaving the group and I was like, hey, where can I get to this? And like someone like walked me around for like 5 minutes.
Another tip for you,
great.
I'm going to assume you know this, but if you don't, if you're doing LFG and you're looking for like where a quest turn-in is, 90% of the time they're at the entrance and you can just phase out and phase back in to teleport
This
there.
one was not at the entrance.
Okay, just wanted to be clear.
It was in the middle of the instance up on a bridge.
Sounds like an old school instance, all
Dire
right.
Mall,
yep.
I want to say.
Yeah. Oh, God, Dire Mall.
One of the
I hate Dire Mall.
Dire Mall wings.
I hate Dire Mall. I hate it so much. It's like my least favorite instance.
But yeah, that's what I'm playing every night.
Fun. Did you get your ogre suit?
No.
Isn't that DM that gives you the ogre suit? I think it is.
Maybe.
Anyways.
Not yet, at least.
Well, I've been playing WoW for too long.
But next week they have the transmog items coming for the movie. So if you log in starting like Tuesday, going into like sometime in July, you get some cool looking swords and shields and Gul'dan's staff.
It would be really cool if rather than just making them like the WoW equivalent of the like movie imperfections type stuff, if they straight up did not look like the WoW art style. Like how cool would it be if they were like photorealistic armor pieces and weapons?
That'd be really nice.
That'd be
awesome.
Really cool.
That'd be interesting.
It would pop. Like it would really like it would stand out.
That'd be interesting. Like, this is the only comment I'm gonna have because I don't really play War.
That would be cool though.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Also,
because otherwise it's probably just going to look like a lot of existing gear because it's all based off of WoW anyways.
Here's another thing
might
that
be
came
like
out.
color swaps or something.
Just quick bit of small news and then we can move on. But if you see the Warcraft movie at a specific movie chain, you get a copy of World of Warcraft and 30 days of game time with everything up to Draenor.
Wow.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yep. So they really want people to play World of Warcraft.
Do you know what that chain is?
It is Regal, Carmike.
Do we have any of those?
We have Regal in Brooklyn Center.
Okay.
So I guess we're going there to watch it.
Yeah, just go to.
Well, I mean, yeah, for you. I already anteed up on that
Just go
one.
to the World of Warcraft website; it'll be on there.
Absolutely,
it's pretty awesome.
Very, very cool.
Was it Regal at the Mall of America?
I don't know what that is. That might be a Carmike. Yeah.
And don't forget, you guys, if you do want the Overwatch Widowmaker custom skin, you can pre-order. Overwatch is something I would not feel bad about pre-ordering if you played any of the betas, because it's not going to change.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to give my recommendation. I very seriously considered getting the Founders Pack for $60, and I'm going to pass because it implies that it gives you a skin for every character.
It
doesn't. It's 5, and it's 5 not great skins for characters, at least for me, that I don't even play that much. So if you wanted to see Bastion with a couple of sticks coming off of him, or you wanted like what is probably the ugliest Tracer skin, go for it. But personally, I am going to pass, and it doesn't seem super worth it, even as a player of every single other Blizzard game. And I would be getting a free in-game pet for WoW, a free tabard wings from Mercy for Diablo, and like all the little in-game stuff. Here's the Swarm, you get a card back. Yep, for Hearthstone. Here's the Storm, you get Tracer for free. It's not worth it. Don't do that. I wouldn't recommend it.
It might be worth it for some of you if you look
if
up
you're
the costumes
super
first.
diehard, if you're the kind of person who's bought like TCG bonuses for WoW, it's probably worth it for you. But for even a big fanboy like me who's played WoW since vanilla, you just get the regular
My only
version.
problem with the skins are sometimes you can't see them yourself when you're playing. Because it's a first-person game.
That means that you gotta
but
get a
you
sweet
can
kill,
see
You gotta
bro.
get
them.
a sweet kill.
Well, no,
sweet
but
kill,
you
bro.
can see them. I mean, like, for example, I have the
I guess
white
during, like, the
recolor
victory
of... Well,
pose
no,
and
I
stuff
mean,
like that.
your guns are recolored and stuff, and your arms are recolored. Like, I mean, for God's sakes, Reaper's custom skin, he's a black guy. Like, you can definitely see that in your model in first person.
It's true.
And, like, my Reaper skin that I have is, like, a white recoloring of him, and my shotguns are white.
Oh.
So, like, it seems like that you actually do have custom first-person modeling
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
Just for the record.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for this week's episode.
Hey.
It was a lot of fun, you guys.
We did it.
As always, I'm sure you guys can tell, this has been Procedurally Generated. We hope you've enjoyed listening to the show. Please be sure to check out some video content on my channel, lesser.noob, that's lesser.n00b on YouTube, or just search Henry Plays. And also be sure to check us out on Audio Boom and iTunes. Oh, also, the latest episode every week is going to be going up on the YouTube channel too, if that's your preferred way to listen. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review, and you can also follow us on Twitter at PG_show. And apologies, we are going to be working a lot harder to keep the Twitter updated with interesting stuff for you guys. So be sure to go ahead and follow that if you want to know immediately when new episodes come out. Thank you so much, and as always, game on.